Okay, great. Now I've made my bed and we're gonna plant. And the first thing I want you to know is that, like in all things with gardening, there's a few methods that are very helpful, good things to know. But then it's like art after that. Everybody has their own style. So I will show you the way that I do it. It works really great for longer beds like this. And then I know there'll be some other folks who will show you different ways. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to create 3 trenches. And the reason I create 3 is because I have 3 rows of irrigation that come down on the bed, and I want that irrigation on my garlic. So the first thing is I'm going to use this, which is, I'm not sure what this is called. I think a triangular hoe. It's a very cool little thing. You can also just use the edge of a regular hoe, or any number of creative methods. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go like this. Okay, last one. Okay. Now, I've already popped all my garlic. Airplane. I've popped all my garlic. This variety is called Lahontan. It's a great variety that you can actually pick up right at the food co-op. And I will show you how we're gonna plant it. So I need to get close so that you guys can see. Okay, so is this a good distance? So garlic cloves have 2 sides that are important to notice because they determine what direction you're going to plant it on. There's this side which is sort of flat and square, and if you look really closely you can see little lines that look and are the beginnings or endings of roots. That's the side that you want to have going down into the ground. This side over here, kind of the pointier side, is where the greens are going to come up, and that's the side that you want to have pointing up in the ground. An important piece is that you want it down approximately 3 inches down into the dirt. It's important because it's going to be in the ground for all of winter, so you don't want it to be way up at the top getting frozen and whatnot. Okay, so now I'm going to do this. So I have my garlic in the right direction. I have my trenches. And I'm just going to put it down in like that. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm putting it approximately 5 inches apart. I use my hand because I know about that my hand is about 7 or 8, so I just go like this, and I know, okay, I'm right about at the right spot. Precision is not necessary, but 5 inches gives it enough room to grow in that area, grow a whole, hi friend, grow a whole clove and have room for the roots. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now I know I told you guys you gotta have the best soil. That's super important. One of the sad things is that not every garden bed has that. A lot of garden beds like mine also just have really rock hard clay, and sometimes you just don't get, even after years of working on it, it just, it'll just keep taking a while. So I keep going like so. And I'm just going to do this part. I'm going to just do this part because I'll show you now what we're going to do. And I'm just doing this to try and any little bit of that soil there. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take from the ridges on the side and push it over like that. Give it a pat. You want the garlic to know this is where it's gonna grow. So you want it to feel the dirt on all the sides and feel like at home. So that's all that you do. If you're doing a big row, then you can also use a rake to do it, and I'll show you that. So let's pretend that I've already planted this. Then what I would do is go like this. And go like this. Like that. I only recommend that if you feel pretty comfortable that you can rake it over and know that the garlic is still about 3 inches down. Otherwise, it's better just to go ahead and use your hand. So that's all there is to do in the planting itself. But as you know from before, you can't leave the soil naked like this. So the next step is, actually, I lie. There's one step before that. All right, Jolene. Oh, geez, sorry. I just want to make sure it gets a little bit wet before I cover it up. And sometimes if the soil is really dry, which it often is, in my garden, it's just in this garden in particular, it just dries out really fast. I literally will water in the trenches themselves, let it soak in, water again a few times so it really soaks in well. But anyway, I'm gonna water that, and now I'm gonna make sure that it's not naked so that the sun does not beat down on it. And this is just straw. We showed you this before. Now the great thing that is close to Halloween, you see I'm wearing my Halloween hot pants. It is, because it's close to Halloween, there's just a lot of places that have used these fun little things for the big, what do you call them, straw bales, for random fun displays and are willing to sell or give them away. So I need more. This time, you really want to cover this good. Some people say up to 6 inches or more. You want it covered thick, because what's going to happen is this is going to sit here now for all of winter. And over the time with the rain and the snow, it'll compact down around it, stay nice and protected, and delicious in there for the little garlic heads. Cloves, I should say. Now, there's a few other options if you don't have access to straw. You can use leaves, but only if you've ground them up. So if you put them through, what are they called? A chipper. If you put it through a chipper, or whack them with a weed eater in a trash can, something like that. Otherwise they compress and the water actually can't get down through it, and so it doesn't work very well. You want to be able to have air. Another thing that I have never tried, but that some of my teachers have tried, which is to use grass, like grass clippings, and pour that over top of it. But like I said, I haven't tried it, but I know that they've had a lot of success with it. Okay, quick side note, if you actually have irrigation, which is lovely, you want to be sure to put that irrigation on the bed and cover it with straw for over the winter. So I've laid that down and I lost my other staple, but anyway, it's okay. Now once it's done, then you want to cover it, and again, you want to cover it really good. It's much better for the irrigation if it's not in the sun over the winter. Anyway, just like we did with the other one. Okay, before we go, another awesome book, highly recommended. Can you see it? Drawdown. The most comprehensive plan ever proposed to reverse global warming, edited by Paul Hawken. You really want to read this book. It's super fun because, you can just pick any chapter, any little section, and it'll talk about different ways of addressing the climate. But I wanted to read this one that has to do with gardening, and it's written by the really renowned writer Michael Pollan, and I'm just going to read a couple sentences from it, from his essay called Why Bother? Okay. There are so many stories we can tell ourselves to justify doing nothing about climate change, but perhaps the most insidious is that whatever we do manage to do, it will be too little, too late. Climate change is upon us, and it has arrived well ahead of schedule. Have you looked into the eyes of a climate scientist lately? They look really scared. So, do you still want to talk about planting? Do you still want to talk about planting gardens? I do. The act I want to talk about is growing some, even just a little, of your own food. Measured against the problem we face, planting a garden sounds pretty benign. I know, but in fact, it's one of the most powerful things an individual can do to reduce your carbon footprint, sure, but more important, to reduce your sense of dependence and dividedness. At least in this one corner of your life, you will have begun to heal the split between what you think and what you do, to commingle your identities as a consumer and producer and citizen.